Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? We also want to recognize this year prisoners of war. This is a sacred group, and just a few words about prisoners of war. They deserve every honor they can get for the sacrifices they made to this country and to freedom. They oftentimes suffered unimaginable suffering.
Sandy's most memorable mission was on March 6, 1944, when his crew made history for being one of the first B-17s to bomb Berlin. During the approach to Germany's capital, their ship was under constant flak attack, and after releasing their bomb load, they were attacked by German fighter planes. Within the radio compartment of his B-17, Sandy manned a 50 caliber machine gun and shot down a German Focke-Wulf 190 and received full credit for doing so. Yay, see it.
It amazes me. People say to me, I never met a 100-year-old man was in 2 wars before, and things like that. And I just didn't realize, and when you stop and think, there isn't too many people to do past that mark. And I happen to be one of the few.
As many of you know, 14 pilots died in training right here at the Mobile Army Airfield. A lot of times we have to clarify for students because they heard about the 14 and they believe, that some of them died overseas. But just training. And right after the ceremony, Anthony DeStefano stepped up. And what he's done is nothing short of amazing. Anthony was...
You got some great information. So here we are today, almost 80 years later, to read off the names of those 14 pilots that flew the P-47 Thunderbolts, and we keep them in our hearts and memories. Captain Harold Crossley, First Lieutenant William Malone, Second Lieutenant William Kniff, Second Lieutenant Robert Derwin, Second Lieutenant James Thompson, Second Lieutenant Charles Weber, Second Lieutenant Andrew Easterwood, Second Lieutenant Morgan Barton, Second Lieutenant John Rumball, Second Lieutenant Lee Pryor, Second Lieutenant William Slater, and Second Lieutenant Earl Hepburn. Flight Officer Ceylon Morrison, and Flight Officer John Driscoll. If you have an opportunity today, before you leave, when you go into the museum, there's a wall memorial board in there with 14 plaques, and also go on our website and you can read a short tribute about each of those pilots. Thank you.
To lead our wreath ceremony, I'm going to introduce two veterans who are special museum volunteers, Ed Cox and Bob D'Alessandro. We want to recognize the participation of the many young people in today's event. As you saw, the Civil Air Patrol has been heavily involved, and you've noticed them over the past number of years with Veteran Appreciation Day. Thank you for all that they do, and for all that those young people get to learn by participation in the Civil Air Patrol. I'd also like to thank those Millville High School students who have been out here assisting as they do every year. The Millville school students are doing a number of different Veterans Day projects, such as sending cards to the Veterans Home, and the students have for years, like they've done with the veterans that were introduced earlier, participate in the Veteran Interview Project. It's a partnership with the museum. Lisa Jester is our executive director of the Millville Army Airfield Museum. What she does to keep the museum running with a limited staff and very small budget is nothing short of amazing.
Thank you, Bob. A big thank you goes out to everyone who helped organize our 21st annual Veterans Appreciation Day. Our museum staff and volunteers do a wonderful job. Without sponsorships and volunteers, this event would not be possible. At this time, I would like to introduce our dear friend and board member of the Millville Army Airfield Museum, Joe Durella, to say a few words and introduce some officials.
With your hand on your heart, pledge to this great flag. When you look at that flag, if you look carefully enough, you can see the men and women of the past, present, and the future who've given up their lives, who've given up their limbs, who've given up everything just for us.
It is a true honor to be standing in front of so many American heroes. Sandy's story brought me to tears, as I remember many, many times as a child, as my grandfather, who was a World War II vet, brought me to this very airport as a child to see the air show.
Recognize members of the County Board of Commissioners. We have Director Darlene Barber, Commissioners Douglas Albrecht, and I believe Joe Cilio.
We recognize the sheriff. You have him on your list, okay? And I would say thank you both to my colleagues who are here today. I've been involved with the museum for many, many, many years. I remember our first event here, and I intend to be here many times afterward. So enjoy the day. Enjoy Cumberland County.
That we pulled out this morning, actually one thing in specific. We have a propeller here that you guys have noticed. This is an original P-47 Thunderbolt propeller from a December 1st, 1944 mid-air collision of two P-47s that had just completed gunnery training offshore. The next thing is very exciting for us, and we'll have more information to follow, but we were able to acquire an M60A3 tank. This actually came from Roebling, New Jersey. There was a VFW post that has closed, so we were able to acquire it. We did. At this time, I would like to call up Bernadette Blackstock and Rita Benfer. Okay, gonna need to take a deep breath on this one, and hopefully I'll get through reading this. Last year, we lost two very special board members, Paul Blackstock and Jerry Benfer. The museum was honored to have Paul Blackstock, who was always a gentleman, with a dedicated caring for veterans, as a board member, volunteer, and dear friend. I would like to present a memorial plaque to Bernadette Blackstock in Paul's memory that will be hung proudly in Building 31. Okay, the other board member that we lost last year was Jerry Benfer, my sidekick at all the meetings, who hit me, kicked me, yelled at me, and just made me feel, I guess, at home in a sense, because he always just wanted to irritate me. But I loved him more than anything. He was just such a dear friend. The museum is so thankful to have had Jerry Benfer as part of its every mission for so many years, and is grateful to his wife Rita, even though she would text me and say, do you have anything for Jerry to do for like a week? For sharing him with us. He is truly missed. I would now like to introduce another dear friend who comes from Pennsylvania every year, our bagpiper, Jim Rembes. As a thank you to our servicemen, Jim will be playing a tribute to the military services. As you hear your branch of military service being played, please stand if you are able. Thank you.